Hello everyone and welcome back to this next lecture. So in the previous lectures we had set up some roles and we had also assigned the methods within project A and project B which have been applied this restricted modifier as target functions roles within the company management. And we had verified that these roles had been assigned to those particular departments. So now the first thing we need to do is let's add some funds to these two projects so that then we can actually start using this pay vendor method to start paying some accounts. So for this we select project A, and let me select project A, and within project A we need to now transfer some funds. So let's just choose a random account. We can choose any account because we have like almost 100 ether, all of them. Let's choose account number 13, the very last account, as this is what we will use to just transfer some funds to both of them. So there is no call data because we are using the receive method, and here I will just say ether and just say 10 ether, and we will transact, and you see the balance increases to 10 ether. And of course this is a successful transaction. So let's do the same also for project B, and we come over here, there's project B. We collapse this and we expand on low level interactions, and we just say ether and we say 10 ether, and we transact. This becomes 10 ether, and you see the account number 13 has now, the balance has dropped to 80 ether. So again, this is all just fake ether. You can transfer as much as you want, doesn't matter. And if you run out, you just have to refresh your browser and you get all of it back again. So with this, we have now given some money to these two accounts. The next thing we are going to do is let us schedule an operation that is going to happen on these two accounts. So for this, let's go back to our company management project, or rather contract. So in this company management contract, we now have to schedule an operation. And we've already seen in the code examination that there is a schedule method. So let's come up here and look at the schedule method. So this schedule method is going to be used when you want to schedule an operation on a controlled contract using any authorized account which has the authority to execute methods of this contract. So for instance, let's come up here and choose project A. So we've already said that project A is an engineering project. So let's come up here, come down here rather, copy the address of project A, that is a target. Now to this, we have to pass the call data, right? So the call data is going to be this particular function selector and also all the arguments, right? Everything together. That's going to be the call data. So for this, as I said, do not try to use KCAT 256. It is very error prone. We will just do an ABI encode. So I will just say ABI encode online tool, and you can pick any one of these, and this is your ABI encoder. So we choose your function, and let's paste the actual function. Sorry, not here, but rather here. And we paste the name of the function. So I will copy this and go over to ABI encoding services, paste it here. And now we start adding the arguments. So the first will be the address of the vendor. So this is usually an externally owned account. It could also be a contract, but typically it is an externally owned account because this is the account of a vendor. Could be a supplier, a distributor, a contractor, could be anything, right? So we come up here and let's choose account number 12 to be this vendor, right? Any random account, doesn't matter. You can choose anything you want. I'm just choosing the second last. So this is now going to be of type address. So we have to choose the type of the address, which is type of the argument rather, which is address, and we paste the value here. Then we will add another argument. Now this last argument is the amount. This amount is in UN256. So if you come over here, you'll see this is in UN256. And this amount is the amount in way, not in ether, but rather way. So it means we will need to come all the way down here, or not all the way down here, UN256, and we need to find out the way equivalent for the amount we want to send. So let us suppose we want to pay this vendor 1 ether. So we come up here and we go to ether to way, and let's choose 1 ether here. So this is the amount in way that we want to have to transfer if we want to transfer 1 ether to account number 12. So let's copy this, come back here and paste it here. So this is now our entire function name followed by the type of arguments and the resultant address here, or rather the resultant number. So if you come over here, you will see that we get exactly the entire call data. So this is the function selector, which is the first 8 hexadecimal numbers, followed by 32 bytes for the first argument and 32 bytes for the second argument, right? So if you come up here and check, you will see that the function selector here and the function selector here are identical, right? So I'm going to copy this, come up here, and this time we will go down back to this schedule method and I will paste the call data. Now it's important to remember that this value here in this ABI encoding tool doesn't have a 0x before it. This is a hexadecimal value. You must put a 0x before it or this will be invalid argument. So we will come over here and put 0x and paste that value. Now the last argument is when. Now we have two options. We can specify a particular time instant in the future if we want that action to happen on a particular instant. So for example, let's say we want to pay this particular vendor on the first of the month or the last day of the month. Then we can specify that particular time instant accordingly. However, in this case, we don't need to do so. We can only use the execution delay associated with that particular engineer in order to schedule the operation. Which means if you go back to the schedule account, you will see that there are two possibilities. One, you can specify the when instant, or you can specify the execution delay that is associated with that particular account, which is calling the method. In this case, each and every engineer has a 6-minute delay in order to be able to perform this particular, or rather to schedule this particular operation. So I will just put 0 so that then the execution delay is the only thing that matters. So with this done, we can come over here and click on transact, and you will see it was unauthorized. And the reason is because I'm still calling it as account number 12, which should not be the case. Let's go up and choose account number 5, which is an engineer, right? Account number 5 and account number 6 are engineers. So we can click on this, and if you come over here, you'll see this is now scheduled. Now once you schedule an operation, you will now get an operation ID. So if you come up here and you check the schedule method, you will see that the schedule method returns two values. It returns an operation ID and it returns a nonce. So let's come up here and see what the output is. So if you come up here and see what the output is, and here you will see the decoded output because the entire output is a hashed value, which is not very easy to interpret. On the other hand, you will see that the decoded output actually gives this in separate forms. So you will see there is an operation ID. This operation ID is the ID that determines this particular operation. And if you are interested, come up here, you will see that if we take the hash operation, this hash operation method combines the caller address, the target address and the call data together to form one complete hexadecimal value, which is now converted to KCAT 256. Right? So this is done for you. If you are interested, by all means, try it out on your own. You just have to take the address of the caller, which is this particular account number 5. You have to then take the address of the target, which is the address of the project A contract. And you have to take the data, which we've already calculated here in this ABI encode tool. You can take all these three values, combine them all together, and then check if that operation ID is the same as what you get here, right? Is the same as what you get here. I will leave this to you as an exercise. What I'm going to do instead is, now that we have done this, let us come over here, copy this, and I will go up here and verify that this operation has been scheduled. So if you come up here, there is a get schedule method. This get schedule method will take the operation ID and will provide the instance at which this operation can be executed. So if I paste it here and I click on call, you'll see we now get this number, right? We get this number which indicates that this particular operation has been scheduled. If, however, let's say I come up here, I come to this value and just change one value, just randomly, and I paste it, you will get 0, right? Because I have given a wrong operation ID. And for this operation, this operation ID, there is no operation scheduled. So if an operation is not scheduled, you will get 0. And the fact that we got an actual number before was an indication that this particular operation has been scheduled. Now that this operation has been scheduled, the next thing is, can we execute it? Now, it has not been 6 minutes yet since I created this execution. So let's go and try to create the execution, and you will see that you are not yet ready to execute it. So we go all the way up, click on execute, and if you come down here, you will see that there is now a target address. This target address will be the project A address, and the data will be the same data here, called data. So as always, make sure you put 0x, and now if I transact this, I should not be allowed to do so, because engineer 5, account number 5, has a 6-minute delay, which means after scheduling an operation, this engineer has to wait for 6 minutes before he can execute that particular operation. So if I click on transact, you will see that you get an error. So if you come up here, you will say it says AccessManager not ready, right? And if you verify from the schedule method, you will see that this is the reason that the delay has not yet elapsed. You must wait for 6 minutes, and I have not yet been talking for 6 minutes since the schedule operation was done, and therefore you will have to wait for a few more minutes before you can actually execute this operation. But rather than wait, I'm going to do something else. Let's say I choose account number 6, which was another account, and I now try to click on this transact button. You will get another error, and you will get an error here that this says that this particular AccessManager not scheduled, and this means that this particular caller has not scheduled the operation. Only the account that has scheduled the operation has the authority to execute it. So here in this particular case, this is a case of unauthorized. That means only the scheduler of a particular operation has the authority to execute it. So with this, I'm going to just pause the video for a few minutes and then try to execute it. Okay, so I've now been waiting for close to 5 minutes or so. So which means that now the time must have elapsed by which account 5 can execute the method. So let's switch back to account number 5. And now I'm going to try to make the same execute method with the same target address, which is that of project A, and with the same call data. So I'm going to click on transact, and now you see that it was successful. Right? So here in this case, we have been able to not just schedule the operation, we have also been able to execute an operation. This execution of an operation also took place after a delay, and this delay was with the 6 minutes that is associated with that particular engineer. Each and every account has an execution delay, and this execution delay is taken into account when you schedule an operation if you do not specify the specific time instant at which a particular operation needs to be scheduled. So I would suggest at this moment, go ahead, try to play around with this particular contract, and I would say as an exercise, try to do exactly the same thing for the accounts department with project D. So we had already set up the same pay vendor method to be executed by the accounts department. So this is something that I will leave to you as an exercise. That is, first schedule the operation, that is the pay vendor, pay a certain vendor a certain amount, extract the call data, copy this address of the project vendor as target address, and verify that after a certain time delay that operation can be executed. And before that, the operation is not executed, or rather should not be executed, and it should revert with an error saying that the access manager is not yet ready. So this is something that I would leave to you as an exercise, and in general, go ahead and play around with this contract. There are a lot of methods that you can use and a lot of different functionalities, but this is the basic functionality that is provided by the Access Manager contract. So if anything did not work or you faced any other issues, please post in the Q&A forum and I'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, I will see you in the next lecture where we will quickly copy these projects over to our own to my own personal computer, and I would recommend you to do the same so that we have it for our own future purposes. Thank you so much for listening and see you soon. Goodbye for now.